Corporate video pays the bills, but it wasn't my true passion. My wife decided she wanted to start planning travel for people. She's always been good at it, and that's just been a love of hers. She was doing it for free, being a little bit entrepreneurish. I was like, hey, why don't you make this, a business? So I launched Jess.Travel for her. It's gone from, just a few customers to now she has, hundreds of clients. With the custom travel planning, I got to kind of build a brand from scratch. It wasn't easy, but I really enjoyed doing it.
Okay, welcome to the first ever Quotables podcast. And the best way to start anything like this would be to actually get to know who the two co-hosts are. So today, I'm going to start by interviewing my buddy, Joe Dorsey. Joe right here is a good friend of mine. We've known each other almost 30 years now, and we've been working in video production for just about 30 years. But lately, Joe's been working on another project that's been a little bit of a challenge, a little bit of fun. Joe, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you are working on?
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm in video production, but my wife is a nurse. She's a nurse anesthetist, the one that puts you to sleep in a surgery. But she's also a custom travel planner. And about 2019, before COVID, she decided she wanted to start, planning travel for people. She's always been good at it. That's just been a love of hers. She was doing it for free for family and friends. And then, I being a little bit entrepreneurish, I was like, hey, why don't you make this, a business? You're definitely good enough to do that. And there was no interest in that on her end, on doing any of the kind of business startup. But as you know, we're used to it. We've had to do it several times. So I was like, I'll take care of it. So immediately bought the domain, bought the trademark, started the LLC, and I launched Jess.Travel for her, and that's her custom travel planning company. And we've had it now for 6 years. She does all the planning. I just handle the marketing and the outreach and the brand design for her because she has no interest in that whatsoever. Which is a challenge as well, but she has a real career. She's still a nurse anesthetist, and that's her main gig. So the travel brand is something we want to maybe retire with down the line, and we're kind of building it slowly. And it's gone from, just a few customers to now she has, hundreds of clients. And we have a host agency now, which trains other budding travel planners, people who want to become, travel planners themselves. So we made a Jess University, and yeah, so now I'm kind of more involved than I thought I was going to be. I was tangentially going to have fun doing the marketing, and now I would say I'm deal with it daily.
Well, before we really dive into the marketing side, which is what I want to talk about, let's get a little bit of a history of who you are. So take me all the way back to almost before we met, and we
hmm
met at Fox 35, a local
hmm
station here in Orlando.
Yep.
Take me back to how did you want to get into this stuff? Like, what made you get into doing this?
Well, yeah, specifically marketing, I love it. I've never done it professionally beyond video in any capacity. I went to school at UCF, University of Central Florida. I went for communications. I was going to be an on-camera broadcaster, sports broadcaster. I realized that was not going to be a thing. Just way too hard to get a job doing that. And you travel a lot. And I was just like, eh. But then I saw the behind the scenes stuff and I thought, oh, okay, I can work behind a camera or, at a TV station or something like that. And that's the pivot I took. And I wound up getting an internship at Fox 35 where I met you. And we formed a company, a video production company back then, where we were doing, lots of corporate video and things like that. And that really took off. We was our main thing for many years. We've stayed in the kind of the corporate world. We've done videos, films, we've done documentary work,
A
and it
TV
was a
show?
nice TV show. We did a travel television show for many years, which was probably the highlight of my career, to be honest. And, once we stopped with the show, it was back to, well, we got to pay the bills. So we started to work corporate video again. And it's not fulfilling, really. I mean, it's okay. But, there's just no creative juice really flowing anymore. So with Jess's situation with the custom travel planning, I got to kind of build a brand from, the scratch. And I enjoy doing that with our video production company, the branding and, the look of things and, but, with our video production company, there wasn't a lot of like outreach we had to do. Our clients were our clients that kind of just found us. And we didn't have a brand voice that we dealt with all the time. It was just us and we had our website. And in this case, it's a completely different thing. Like every piece of media that I put out in any fashion, from a Facebook post to a tweet to an article, blog article, to like her materials that she works with and her itineraries and things, they all need to be on brand at all time. Otherwise, it looks messy and unprofessional. So I'm constantly tweaking that and thinking about that now, which is something completely different for me. But I've always been totally into it. It's fun. I always had that Mad Men kind of fantasy where I worked at like an agency and we had to like market mustard or something, and we had to have. I love that like brainstorm idea, and I really love the really bold stuff, the stuff that's really moves the needle. Like it's not. I hate the milk toasty like boring ads. I watch TV. I get really bored of all of the ads. I can't stand them. So I just have no interest in doing those. So I just want to I want to do stuff that I like and gets, and is excited. And since we're such a small brand, we can do that. We can do whatever. We don't have a huge audience. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and we just do something else. But that's what I've enjoyed about being a small brand and an owner.
So you never really did marketing. You were kind of adjacent to marketing, like me. Like, we see what happens, what is good, what is bad. We kind of follow it through, but we're not really allowed too much to interject ourselves
Mm-mm.
just on the production side.
Mhm.
When you first started doing this, what did you realize were the challenges?
There's a good amount of challenges. And the number one with us is Jess has a full time job, number one. And number two, she doesn't have any interest in being an influencer or even kind of the face of the brand. She doesn't mind her image being the face of it, so to speak, but she definitely is not guru. She's not gonna get up there and do, podcasts and videos constantly and travel blogs and things like that. She doesn't mind writing stuff, but she's not the type that's going to be a social media influencer. And travel is just that's what it is. It's just all influencers all day long. So the challenge for me has been, how do I market this brand with someone I can't just do a photo shoot on the top of Yosemite somewhere. So it's constantly thinking outside the box. Constantly, AI has been huge in that endeavor, modeling her and character of her, and just so that I have the ability to make creative whenever I need to. Because having her come home after a 12-hour shift in like an operating room and then telling her I need to do a voiceover on something is just not cool.
I imagine.
Yeah, we've had to think outside the box with that. So I'm constantly doing just weird meme type of stuff, because it's easy to do without an on-camera, talent at your disposal at all times. And I think that this is going to help us in the long run, because as we get older, she's not gonna be the face of the brand as much anymore, because this brand is a youthful brand. So this person that is marketing Just.Travel always never ages. It's, this same person. So AI is going to help with that. We're going to be able to kind of create an archetype that we can market around, that it's a character that looks and feels real, but is influenced by Jess and certainly motivated by Jess and inspired by her, and it's all her thoughts, but it may not necessarily be her forever.
When you first, like when you started this, I know, well, I kind of know the backstory, so it's a little bit hard for me to keep myself out of that. But when you started it, you had challenges, but then you had things that went right. Tell me about the first time you said, oh my God, this is going to work.
Wow, that's a good question. When we started getting a lot of clients, I mean, when we started the host agency during COVID, that was on a whim. I was like, she was telling me about the host agency she was working with.
Well, hang on, hang on.
And
First of all, time out. That's probably like the worst time to start a host
oh,
agency
yeah.
during COVID. So there's a challenge there too.
Oh
But I
yeah, no,
mean,
it was huge. She was out of work because she was, freelancing, and they had shut down all elective procedures, surgical procedures. So she was not doing anything, and I was not doing anything with video. So we're sitting at the kitchen table, probably filling out, unemployment paperwork. And it was like she's talking about this host agency that she has that just takes a cut of any commissions that she books on. And I said, well, how much do they take? And she said, oh, it's like 50% or something of everything I make. And I said, oh, what do they do for that? And she said, nothing. They don't do anything. No, they just are in the middleman in between my commission, because they have the affiliation. And I said, how hard is it to get the affiliation? And she said, I don't know. and I just went into motion right then, and I had nothing to do, and travel was, her even on her travel planning side, that was slowing. She was like having to cancel everybody's trips. So I was like, well, let me look into this. So I looked into it, and we started a host agency, and I got the accreditation and what was needed to start that up. And I was like, well, if we're going to do this, I wanted to not just be a middleman. I wanted to be like a learning platform. So I developed a whole learning platform called Jess University, which was everything she ever knew about planning. I just interviewed the hell out of her and then made an entire learning platform so that if you did want to do this and you joined with our host agency, you had materials to look at, you had stuff. And I was able to bring like a little bit of a different aspect to it because with the video production, I can teach people how to use video tools. I could teach
Right.
people how to do a little bit of design, a little bit of web graphics and whatnot. The big one was business development. I was able to tell them how to start up, how to get a business license, how to get a business bank account, how to the order to do it, the accounting situations within it, the accounting softwares. I put that all into the program because I had done it so many times with, the different video production companies I've had and the charities we've had and things like that. So I'm able to teach that for them, and that has been a bigger ask from our host agency independent contractors than anything related to travel. All they want to know is business type of questions and how to deal with this and taxes and
Really?
write offs and yeah. So I'm constantly dealing with that sort of stuff. They almost never ask me a travel related question. I thought all the questions would go to Jess and be like, "What's a great all inclusive in Barbados?" No, it's never that because they're all good at that, and that's why they want to be travel planners. So they all know that stuff. What they don't know is what they can legally write off or what makes a good website good. And I help them with that sort of stuff. So that's been cool. But to get back to your question, when I knew it was going to be a success is when we launched. And I mean, we had, 50 independent contractors and people join the host agency within a year or so. Now we're, approaching 150. And so, yeah, that's when I knew it was working, is when I just all of a sudden you would just get these people would click buy now on our site and they would join the agency and I was like holy crap, because I did feel a little bit like when we started like Jesus, I'm still learning this, and but I just
Yeah.
busted through like the Kool-Aid man, like, which is what I do with everything, and get myself into trouble and then deal with it. And I think that that's been a good strategy actually for this, because I don't think if I ever waited for the right moment on like, is this gonna work? Do I know everything about this? It's never gonna come because I don't know. I'm learning every day. She's learning every day because there's this industry's been around for 100 years, and there's people that have been doing it forever, and we're like on this weird cusp. The tip of the spear for this industry where we charge fees for everything. We don't work on commissions solely.
Right.
So there's been a lot of learning to do and a lot of teaching people what our services is in compared to an old classic travel agency.
So what is it that moved the needle? Like what did you start doing? Just what kind of
Honestly, our
marketing plan
our
did you have?
major marketing, and I tell this to all the people, all of our independent contractors, has been with Google for specific travel agent search content. Google is the gold standard. If somebody types in travel agent Florida, you want to show up. And even though we're not traditional travel agents in the sense that we charge fees, we still want to get in front of that person and explain, our value proposition as to why we are worth paying for as opposed to a traditional travel agent. So yeah, Google. I started with Google Smart campaigns, which they've phased out, but like those were like idiot campaigns you could start like real easily. And then I went into more in depth search campaigns, and I'm still learning that stuff, Performance Max and search campaigns, and it's you could get a degree in Google advertising and marketing. It is a deep, deep dive. And I do all my own or all our own with Jess's businesses, and it's difficult, but it works. Where I haven't really made a ton of efforts yet is in social media because I just don't have the content to constantly boost. Like if we were on the road in an RV and we were traveling around the world, I'd have content constantly. And we do travel, but we're regular people. We travel, spring break, summer, and winter. So I get content those three times. But if you look at any travel influencers, it's 24/7, and I don't have that. So my social media, Jess's social media presence is not where I want it to be, but hopefully someday, I'll get it to where that's working. What's working now, recently has been AI search. I've really tweaked the website with these things called schema markups and all this stuff that you can do on a page so that AI can crawl it easier. And that might be working because a growing portion of our inbound is now from ChatGPT and Gemini. It's probably 10% at this point, which
Really?
is good. Yeah, so I'm happy with that. I can't believe that that's happening, but people are, I guess, are typing chats into ChatGPT. What is a travel planner worth it, or how much should I pay for a custom travel planner? And they're getting redirected to us if they click the reference link. So that's been good. So that's the new one.
Hold for my dog, please. Yeah. Okay. So, moving on. Like, so you talked about content being something that you don't really have a lot of, but
Mm-mm.
I do know that you're putting content out there. So, talk
Mm-hmm.
me through that. Like, what kind of content are you using? How
My
are you
content
doing it? Yeah, all of that stuff.
Yeah, my content is essentially when I get inspired by something that I see online, I will mimic it, I will memeify it, I will use a lot of AI to get there. We just won a Muse Award for an AI spot I did
Oh,
where
great.
I took stills that we actually shot, just iPhone stills that we actually shot while on vacation and then animated them with AI. I also did a custom AI soundtrack song for her, and we got an award for that. But that was, a good amount of work, but like that was content I made out of thin air. I just took stuff that we had lying around and made art, I guess you'd say, out of it. And that's what I have to do. That's constant. I have to just kind of see something, get inspired, and then just put it out there. And whether it works or not is who knows. But I also try to move the needle every time. I don't want if it's boring, like I am not, we are definitely not the agency that just puts out boring like Punta Cana, 649 a night, free drink package. That's not what we do. Jess's tours are completely custom. She's not booking anybody on packages. So she saves people a ton of money by not doing that. And that's what we have to explain to our audience. They don't realize, they think, oh, I got to pay you $600 to, I can go get a free travel agent. Well, no, we're actually going to save you a ton of money by not just bundling you in some giant package where there's a huge middleman, upcharge. So I have to tell that story on a daily, and that's where my focus is going to be going forward is really hammering that point home. And I'm going to lean on memes and AI and TikTok-y type of stuff to do it. Our host agency, one of the things we did recently, a campaign we did was um, don't join a cult. And a lot of host agencies in travel are like MLME, very
Yeah.
scammy, very girl boss centric type of stuff. And we're not that. We are the anti-MLM, anti-corporate, anti-sales quota, anti-webinar host agency. So, I did like a Handmaid's Tale kind of spoof, don't join a cult advertisement where I put like a Jess looking character in that hood, that red, iconic hood. And that got a lot of traction. There was a lot of interaction with that ad on Instagram. So I'll probably lean more into that because the imagery was very shocking and scroll stopping in that you see this like Handmaid's Tale character and it says
Right.
don't join a cult and then it's like Jess.Travel, and she's like revealing her Jess.Travel underneath her cult thing. So and I worked with AI on that to get inspiration on the designs, and I used Gemini and I used all sorts of things, just tools that are available today that I have no business, being good at. I can't believe that I can just type into a thing and get something out of it that looks the way it does. It looks, polished and ready to go. Whereas I would have had to hire a designer and it would have been 12 iterations. And I did that campaign on the plane. I was on a plane and I did it from my phone,
That's cool.
on a 3-hour flight. I was just inspired. I always get inspired on planes for some reason. I don't know what
Yeah,
it
because
is.
you're
Like,
bored out of your mind, like me. Yeah, I'm the
yeah,
same
so
way.
I'm bored and I've written poetry on planes. I'm like, I don't write poetry
Hang on, hang on,
ever,
hang on. I'm gonna have to
ever.
see some of this poetry.
I'll show it to you. But yeah, I sit there and I'm like, I'm staring at the like, the
Oh, yeah,
scene in front of me.
I'm
And then
with
I'm
you.
just like, and
I've
it
got
just
my
shows,
binaural beats on so that I'm not
yes.
freaking out, and all
Yeah.
of a sudden, everything starts flowing through me. I want to have so much
Yes.
more bandwidth than I have,
Yes.
but,
And I
you
think
click on something
think
and you
that
wait.
Yeah, I think that speaks to boredom too. Like we've lost boredom as a culture, and this is
Yes.
a whole different subject matter. But
No,
when
but that's
I'm
totally
bored,
true.
I start to think more creatively than when I'm busy.
Yeah.
So that's where my best stuff comes. So literally when I'm on a plane. Yeah, so AI has allowed me to now just have a stupid idea and have it executed immediately and go, oh, this either works or it doesn't work. But I don't have to call anybody or an agency or get with a Photoshop expert. And like, certainly I'm not going to be able to design it the way I see in my head. So it is nice. I'm sure it's bad for the industry, but it's certainly nice that I can just, spew my idea onto a screen and have it be, at least half attractive. But, yeah, that's where we're going.
Well, great. Well, listen, I think it's probably best if you kind of walk me through what Jess.Travel is. So let's just
Hmm.
say I'm a potential
Hmm.
travel enthusiast and I want
Hmm.
to learn more about this. Break it down to me like really simply, like
Hmm.
why that campaign that you just talked about, why would I not go with another larger
Hmm.
company, but I would go with
Yeah.
Jess.Travel? Explain it to me.
Yeah, I can do that. Jess.Travel is a custom travel planning company that is just custom built for their clients. So if you're interested in making custom itineraries for people that do not send them to tourist traps, do not put them on, mega buses, then we're the host agency for you. Like I said earlier, we're anti-corporate, we're anti-MLM, we're anti-sales quota, we're anti-live webinar,
It
which
sounds very
means
punk,
yeah,
anti-corporate, anti-sales.
this is well, those are my roots, right? So that's what I was like, this is what we're going for. We are I like to say the cool kid. I don't want to say, it sounds pompous, but I like to say we're the kid smoking under the stairs of host agencies. We don't care. We're a bit nihilistic at times, but we're not looking for MLM. We're not looking for, Oprah-esque, girl boss, hoop, hoop, hoop. No, this is for people who are self motivated. They don't need us to motivate them. They want to create a business, a brand that is them, not us. Their clients don't know Just.Travel. Their clients only know their brand, which is huge because all other host agencies absorb you into them. And then you become a ex advisor. You're under them. They control the software. If you decide to leave, they turn off your software. You've lost access to all of your work that you've done in the past for all your other clients. We don't
Right,
do that. We train them to do it themselves. We show them the software that will allow them to do it themselves, and they keep it and they control it. So if they ever want to leave us, I don't know why they would, because it's a one-time fee for us, for life. We don't have a monthly fee of any sort, but they can go out on their own and they have access to everything that they've ever built, and they've built their own brand. And like I said, we don't do live webinars. We'll record things and they can watch it later because we are designed for the part-timer, the person who already has a career and wants to kind of do this as a side hustle. And that's the people that seek us out. We do have some people that are, they're more traditional. They're booking like, cruises and whatnot. And to be honest, they make a lot of money doing that. But for the vast majority, our group is multi-city, multi-generational, linked kind of custom tours that are specific to a family or a couple. And, there's an interview process. They're just very, very, very custom and oftentimes private.
so what is the next steps for you? Actually, we'll do this at a two-parter. What does the future look like for Jess.Travel?
Mm.
And then what does the future look like for Joe Dorsey?
Okay. Well, for Jess, we hope that, like, I'm 46 now. I hope that when we're in our 50s, she stops, working as a nurse, anesthetist, and we do this full time. And kind of the kids will be graduated. They'll be wherever they are in the world, and we will hit the road and do this from the road. It's a great business you can do from anywhere. It's a remote business. So we could make content while, in an RV, moving around constantly and gaining clients that way. So in the future, I see some growth, especially once semi-retirement starts with just the travel. So we're kind of building the foundation right now. And with me, with video production, it's always there. I
For
think I'll be
now.
doing it. Yeah,
For
for now.
now, it's always
I
there.
think I'll be doing it for a few more years at least. I'm actually kind of looking forward to when it becomes fun again, when I'm maybe not doing it for money and I'm doing, because when I am filming for Jess or just us on our vacations or whatever, I feel like I'm having fun again. I'm using my phone most of the time. I'm just farting around. I can if I make mistakes, it doesn't matter. I'm on nobody's pressure, under no pressure. Nobody's paying for it. So that's kind of like when we were doing the travel show. We didn't have a master, and that made
I
it
loved
fun.
I loved it.
So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that, I'll get to kind of do content, travel content for real, boost that industry. And I'm still kind of using video production, but in a different way and building a brand with it instead of just somebody else's brand. Because when I do corporate video for the corporations, I'm working for them. I'm building their brand. Everything concept I might come up with is just a temporary thing that I hand them and then walk away from the same day.
The same.
So yeah. So this will be fun. Going forward. I think it's gonna be fun for us.
Great. Well, we only have a few more minutes left.
Hmm.
Was there something that maybe you wanted to touch on that I haven't talked about yet? Like, is there anything that any last words here on this first ever podcast of the
Yeah. No,
podcast?
I'm really excited that we're doing this.
Yeah,
And,
me too.
I think the two of us are going to interview, and Paul, our third partner, will probably be involved interviewing, people who do this for a living, who are building brands, who are, entrepreneurial, who are, marketers. And we get to tell their story or have them tell their story to us and on how they've done it successfully. And I just think we're going to meet like just a ton of interesting people. And this is fun. This is what we do. I mean, this is what me and you have always done is talk to people. I mean, I talk to every Uber
Yes,
driver I've ever been
every
in,
time.
and I get their story, and people's stories are fascinating. So I think this will be cool to hear the stories from just people in our community.
I agree 100%. And I'm really looking forward to this as well. So I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for telling us a little bit about
Yeah.
you and a little bit about Jess.Travel. And
Hmm.
I look forward to hearing more from you soon.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on the first episode of Quotables.
It's quotable, but that's fine.
I don't know. Which domain did we buy? Oh God.
I think there's no S in it, but we're good. We're good. We know what
Okay.
we're doing. Thanks, everybody.
Bad at business as always.